All right, everybody. Hello. We are live with Jessica Sweeney. She's the director over at the Roots Teen Center. Jessica, welcome. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me here.
No problem. So, scouring the internet, we found a podcast that featured you talking about some of the work that you do with youth there. Can you tell us about where you are, what the Roots Teen Center is all about?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Jessica Sweeney. I'm the director of Roots, and I started getting involved with the project about 2 years ago when there was sort of this conversation amongst youth workers that young people in North Adams and sort of the northern Berkshire region really needed a place that they could go and hang out. There was there was a lack of opportunities for young people to get engaged, and so we kept having those conversations, and through a working group called the Northern Berkshire Youth Collaborative, which is made up of youth workers throughout the community, teachers, parents, community youth workers. We started writing a strategic plan. And that was around the same time that Courtney Randall, who's the board president of Roots and a pastor at New Hope United Methodist Church, came to the table and told us about this great grant opportunity through New Hope to sort of get some backbone funding for the center. So we wrote the strategic plan with much voice and guidance from young people in the community. We hosted quite a number of events to gather information from them of what they would want of this space and what they would want to see for programming. And then we started also gathering two boards, a board of directors and a youth board. And these two boards work really closely together. The youth board is sort of the inspiration to the programming and what happens in the space and what it looks like. And the board of directors just sort of takes that voice and that inspiration and makes it a reality. So it's really exciting. We're kind of doing things a little differently, having the youth board. Well, I guess for teen centers, it's a pretty normal thing, but in our community, we don't really have very many places that young people gather to sort of influence a space like that. So they're having a lot of fun with it.
Nice. Collaborative effort across the city. Does the Roots Teen Center complement the youth ministries that are happening at the local churches or other places, or is it does it serve as kind of the youth offering of those congregations?
We just opened our doors in October, so there's still a lot of opportunities for us to collaborate with other churches and other faiths. And I think that, right now we're kind of focused with New Hope, but we have a really awesome interfaith community in North Adams and the Northern Berkshire. So I think that more and more we're going to see other churches get involved as well. So it's kind of this like culminating space for youth in our community.
So the youth serve as kind of an inspiration board. What are they inspired to do to create at the Roots Center? What are the kind of experiences that happen there?
One of the more successful things that they have been planning and doing is an open mic. We have them about once a month. Our community is very much, we're really turning towards a creative economy and sort of that tourist economy. So there's a lot of creativity that happens amongst everyone. And so the youth board really thought it was a great opportunity to invite the community into the space, see it, so that it's not just an open mic for them, it's also an open mic for the community, which has, I've been to a couple of them, and it's really amazing to see everyone kind of come together like that. And see young people express themselves and people in the community express themselves and just sort of have this really nice shared safe space to be who you are and share what you're creating.
Nice. Are these singer-songwriters or poets or dancers or?
Mostly singer-songwriters and poets. We've had a couple comedians share some. We have a young man, Alex, who's pretty new to the center, tell us a whole bunch of puns, which I personally love. I'm a big fan of puns. And and yeah, all sorts of stuff, haikus. But we really, they very much make it clear that it's for any art form. So who knows what we'll see in the future as well.
Nice. How did you come into this kind of work? What's your background?
So ironically, I got my theater degree from MCLA. And in my senior year, I was sort of like, oh, I love theater. I love the arts a lot. But I wanted to find a way to blend the arts with community development and be more engaged in my community.
Mm.
And so through that, I found out about a job opportunity at the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition, which is which is an organization in the community that brings people together to address community needs. And they do a plethora of programming, but that's sort of their main goal. And I had applied for a job with their youth programs, and I'd been working at other youth centers more on the elementary school level than like than teenagers. And so when I got this opportunity to work with teenagers, I instantly felt like I had found the place I needed to be working, or at least the direction. I love working with teens. They're so creative and so full of potential and have so much to offer to the world, and it's so wonderful to just help to facilitate that and watch them connect with their community or help their community. So I kind of felt like I'd figured out that age range that I wanted to work with. It was a little challenging working with elementary school kids for me. And then through that work, it kind of just led me into helping to build the teen center. So it kind of just naturally flowed to being in this position.
Will you be directing any productions at Roots?
I think so. It's a pretty small space. So the things that we actually already had, I'm in my spare time, I also run an artist collective in the community called Common Folk. And we have a lot of young people that are part of Roots that are also part of Common Folk. And so a group in the collective was putting on a small performance about gun violence and sort of the importance of having that conversation. And they asked if they could perform in the teen center because it was a classroom-based performance. And so we let them do it, and I went to the performance, and it was pretty awesome, but also very limiting. It's a small space. It's definitely not meant for theater, but hopefully down the road, if we expand and have more space, then we'll be able to do things like that.
Sure. We are pursuing a artist collective that is kind of or for United Methodist young people. The idea being, how can we revive the mission of the church and the world through grassroots creative practices by young people?
That's awesome.
What's the promise that you see in young people pursuing artistic witness to the world that is maybe different than the seasoned professionals doing their artistic work?
Yeah, I think it's raw and honest and not criticized yet. I think that's kind of the beauty of young people being creative, is that it's often one of the first times that they're really revealing something about themselves, that they're learning about the world. And I think that is such a learning opportunity for adults, to be reminded that young people are impacted by the things that are happening, good and bad. And so it offers a way for us to listen in a different way, and offers them, a easier vehicle to figure out how to express themselves. So I think creating is hugely important.
Yeah. New year, new president, lots of things happening in the world. How has that affected the work of gathering young people at Roots?
It has certainly sparked a lot of conversations. Certainly the new president and sort of the political environment has really, really, really sparked a lot of conversations, especially when it comes to education. And so that's been really, really awesome, because the youth board really intentionally wanted to set the space of Roots to be a safe space for young people to come and express themselves and, sort of not have this fear of judgment for having their opinions on things or whatever. And so it's been great to witness that that they've set that intention and that it's being upheld. I've seen so many really amazing debates happen in the past couple months, and you know, really trying to find ways to learn from each other. But then also with the new year, I feel like there's a lot more motivation and a lot more you know, drive to really see what the potential of this space is going to be, but then also what the potential of the young people is going to be. You know, we've sort of gotten to this really awesome stage where we've opened the doors and we're now saying, here we are, we made it, you know, after 2 years of writing on paper. And so I'm excited to see what that next phase is, to see, you know, what programming really comes out of it and what partnerships continue to blossom, because that will only benefit the young people that are coming to the space.
Sounds like there's something different when you have deep and difficult conversations in person than if you try to have them online or other places. Is that what you see by young people being in the same space to have those conversations?
Yeah, I think it's helpful. You know, we actually had a conversation the other day, or like a week or so ago, about how hard it is to have a conversation with someone who might have very different values or different ideals from you. And then we kind of discovered that we all had different values and different ideals, and that we were having that supportive conversation and like able to listen to each other, but then still, you know, hold our own views. So I think when you're able to come together in a space and have a difficult conversation, but then be able to be like, okay, that conversation's done, now let's eat pizza, or like make an art project together, you know, it helps us to remember that there's more to life than just that difference of opinion, and that we can still, you know, find a way to be together in other ways too. So it's been really inspiring for me to watch those conversations and watch people disagree and then immediately be going to go do something else together, you know?
I love the unexpected complexity of a perceived echo chamber. Like, oh, we're all in this place, we all agree, right? And then all of a sudden, oh, maybe we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not going to kill our relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Are there any particular young people that have really that you're inspired by their story that you like to tell people about, folks who, you know, young people that have participated at Roots? Yeah.
So there's certainly like quite a few that are popping in my head right now. But in terms of one person in particular who I really feel like has grown, but has like dedicated himself to this project probably more than any young person I've seen is a young man named Robert Foster. He's been with us in this process since the very beginning. He would sit down and help us with our strategic plan. You know, when we weren't even in the phase of like having a space, he was there like offering as much help as he could. And he's got a really cool story. You know, I think he's experienced a significant amount of setbacks and challenges in his life, and he's always persevered through that. When he was younger, his house had a fire. He wasn't able to graduate high school because he had a really hard time with sort of some other challenges in his life. And then throughout the process of writing the strategic plan, he lost his father. And he's just sort of always had these moments of feeling really set back. And through that, he's really used Roots as his way of like persevering through that. You know, he kind of said, well, I might not have gotten my degree, but here's a place that I can help in my community and that I can make a difference. And so, you know, he's really put in the footwork to make this place happen. And now he gets to, and he serves on the youth board as well. He's the board president. And now he's about to sort of age out of that group and go on to the adult board, as we sort of call it. And it's cool to see that growth and to see that change and to see someone who doesn't fit that mold of what we all sort of are told to do with our lives. You know, you graduate high school and then go to college and then you get your job, and he's sort of making that work for himself. And that's a really, I think, inspiring thing, not only for me, but I think for the other young people that come into the space, you know, to see that not everyone has to do things the same way, and that you can really make your life what you need it to be or what you want it to be.
So Roots is in a storefront kind of downtown area. Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is in a church invested grant money into this. Is it important to be in that kind of space instead of like church basement or the old youth room at the top of the at the top of the church building? What is there something for students like that 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 storefront third space type area helps?
Um, I think what it helps is that, so I think that there tends to be, with young people, I think that there's this very specific view of what faith is and what faith means or what spirituality is to an individual. And I think by setting this teen center in a space that's neutral, it allows them to discover that in a meaningful way. Not that if it were in a church basement or a church attic or whatever, that it would be a negative thing at all, but I think it allows them to define the space as their own and find what they need in it. Because I think a lot of young people struggle with spirituality, and I think that, with the collaborations and the partnerships that we have, it really allows them to find that for themselves. And I think that that's really important, because I think we can all kind of find that. But then also it's just more accessible. The church that is supporting us right now doesn't have a permanent well, they have a permanent location, but it's under construction.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little hard to be there. And being downtown makes it a lot more accessible for young people. We have a lot of transportation issues with being in a rural community. So this really helps sort of create a central gathering space for everyone from the Northern Berkshires.
Nice.
Yeah.
My wife and I just went to the first. We're here in Detroit, and we went to our first Red Wings hockey game.
Oh, nice.
We walked in the door, and they immediately said, "Oh, you can't come in." And we're like, "Well, they have a size of purse rule."
Oh.
Right. And so my wife's purse was just like 1 inch too big. It was those moments. It was in that moment that I realized there's probably a lot of times when people don't come to churches because of that, the perceived thing of, if you're walking into a church building, there's some set of rules that you don't know about, and they're going to, and maybe it's unwarranted, but feel like they're going to kick you out. You have to go down. So having that kind of third space, you're just walking down the street, can come in. Oh,
exactly.
People are playing guitars. What's going on? And I think that the more that churches can find a way to be present and connected with places like that, I think that we can really reach out, particularly to young people that for whom might have some.
Yeah, and we're really lucky too. We are neighbors with a friendship center, which is our food pantry. And so New Hope is also very, they volunteer there, and in order to keep Roots open, we have a set of volunteers that volunteer their time and sort of get to know the young people. So I think it also creates that way of getting to know people. It's not just oh, come into our doors. Well, I'm coming into your doors. Yeah. What are your rules? What are your set of expectations? And it just kind of shifts that dynamic a little bit.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Jessica, what are ways that people can find out more about Roots, and maybe are there any particular ways that people can support you in the work that you're doing?
Yes, all sorts of ways. So we have a website, rootsteencenter.com, which is slowly being updated and changed and created, but we have some initial information on there. If anyone's interested in making a donation, we certainly could always use that help. We're very much still building our budget and building our programming. So financially, we could always use help. And you can make a donation online. And then we also have a Facebook, which is generally where most of our events are posted. So that's a good way to find out what we're up to and any events that you can come and check out. Yeah. So, and we could always use donations of instruments and, anything that young people would love to use, games, art supplies. We are certainly at no shortage of those things, but could always use more and more as time goes on. So
got a wish list up on Amazon yet?
No, but that's a really good idea. I might go do that now.
I'll buy the first set of drumsticks.
Oh, awesome. Great.
Jessica, thanks so much for talking with us. We'll be posting this soon and with some show notes so that people can find you real easy, and we'll be praying for success in all the young people's lives that you interact with at Roots. And special word of thanks to a church that's willing to jump into an adventure like this. We're excited about New Hope's willingness. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Never been on a podcast before, so
Well, you did great, and thanks for being here.
thank you.
Okay, Jessica, so I'll use that as an edit point, and we'll stop the broadcast now. Goodbye, Internet. Goodbye, Internet.
Bye.
We'll still be here.